na 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 na. There's a like real slappy bass line under it. I've got a guy out in Iowa who does all of our theme music, so
that's great.
Like pro rocker kind of guy.
Yeah, good stuff.
So many places don't have theme songs and they don't have a second microphone.
I am honored to be here with a man whose mental health dwarfs my own. Mr. Double Fine himself, Tim Schafer. Thank you, sir.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
So you guys obviously have been toiling in the metal dungeons for quite a while.
Exactly.
On Brutal Legend. So you guys just finally had your first kind of semi-public reveal. You still haven't taken it wide, but
we haven't taken it wide.
You're starting to show it to people. You're starting to let people see how it plays.
Yeah.
Like, what's the response been so far? How do you feel about how people are kind of interpreting
It's
the
great.
game?
It's been fun. We showed it for the first time to like a large group, and it was fun. It was great to hear people laughing at the game, because you make games, you never have like a live audience and get reactions like that. And people were laughing in the right places and the jokes, and it came off. I think it went really well.
Well, so, I mean, as Double Fine has grown as a studio, what is the force inside you that compels you to still be the writer? I mean, you don't have like a team of writers now. It's still just you. Like, how do you manage that?
Very intense control issues, I think, is what I would mostly credit that to. I mean, we had help from Eric Wolpaw on Psychonauts.
Okay.
He wrote a lot of the funny stuff there. And I've worked with people here and there, and it's just... on this game, I guess, because it was such a personal thing for me, the heavy metal was something my whole teenage years were defined by, and I just really wanted to kind of like figure out who all the characters were, and the only way to really do that is by doing the writing, because a lot of it you can figure out at the moment you write, So, I mean, I don't know if everyone approaches writing like this, but I try to like learn everything I can about the characters and kind of think them all through and write backstories for all of them. And then you kind of sit down to write, and it's like you're doing improvisational acting at that moment, because you just kind of write it like stream of consciousness, and the characters, their voice comes out then. So it's really hard for me to think of someone else doing that last step, that most important step, because I don't know, because that's when I do all the figuring out about what the characters are like.
I'm supposed to think you're a nun, but I know you're really some kind of big, ugly demon, so let's have it. Aha! I knew it! Big, ugly demon. Kind of sexy, though, in a weird way.
Speaking of this being a personal project, something I noticed in the demo was you highlight the sort of eternal clash between heavy metal and glam rock. And I feel like there's some kind of personal backstory here. Can you tell us, where does that come from inside you, and then how does that manifest in the game?
Well, I was 15 in 1982. Do the math, so figure that out. So it really, at a time when I was really into Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Ozzy Osbourne and Motorhead, there came all those kind of LA, the W bands, I don't want to name any, but their names all start with W, and they're the hair metal bands, and I guess I took that kind of personally, because I was like, at the time, I was like, oh, this metal is about insanity and alien, just dark spirals of, what are you doing with this? You're ruining it, and I got really mad, and maybe I hold a grudge, but now, looking back, I can kind of see the entertainment value of that music too. So if you play the game, yeah, they are the hair. There is a whole hair metal army led by General Lion White, and they are the bad guys, and you do go at them with your axe a lot. But it's still kind of in this world of metal, and it still is. We do still play the music on the soundtrack, so it is kind of treated kind of lovingly and shown that it's all kind of part of this world, and they're not compared to the real enemy, which is just like a really mediocre corporate rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's much better than that. So
There's room for everybody to rock,
room
right?
for everybody.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
all under the umbrella of rock.
Did you want to do an open world game, or did you kind of feel like you had to, and that's just sort of a vehicle for your story and your writing?
No, I mean, there's two things. The open world is really the culmination of something I want to do for a long time, because I think the interesting thing to me about games is making a fantasy world that's real, that feels like a place that you could go to and that you think about when you're not there, because it feels like a little fantasy world you fell into, to the game. And open world to me means about having that running all the time. Like the sun rises, the sets, the creatures come out and they eat each other, and there are little places in the world that you don't have to go to that aren't super critical, but when you do go there, you feel like you discovered it. It's like your special little secret spot. And we had a meeting when we were making Psychonauts, and Eric and I were sitting around talking about, it's a summer camp. What are all your fun memories of summer camp? Like, sometimes it's just wandering through the woods and you found like an abandoned campfire and there's a beer can there, and you're like, or in Psychonauts, there's an abandoned campfire, and there's also like a cemetery that you find. It doesn't really, it's not a huge game thing, but it's a fun little moment to find these little discoveries, and we remember that from childhood. So that was a big part of Psychonauts. And then, but you still had load screens, and you still had kind of these limitations with that game. And so now we're like, no load screens. It's all streaming. It's all happening, and it's beautiful looking, and that was really important to us. If you're going to go back to a barbaric land where humans are enslaved by demons, and you have an axe, I mean, you got to swing the axe around and kill some people with it. It's just what that world and that story demands. So it's the right treatment for that. Brutal Legend is an action game from the very beginning. You're swinging the axe. You have this guitar that you play that you can send people up on plumes of pyro, and it's action all the way through with that kind of immersion story and characters.
We're dying to know, when does the revolution start?
When does the revolution start?
Or maybe has it already started?
You mean, like, when does the game come out?
When's the game come
Because the revolution, you're like, I had to spell this out for you. It's really...
Just give us the game.
It's coming out in fall 08. Whoa.
Dude,
Go get it now!
How did I miss that?
It's coming out this fall
Cool.
09.